Hello, I'm Haley Stanura and you are tuned into the Buddhi Yoga YouTube channel. I wanted to address a topic that comes up for me frequently in class, which is how can I twerk safely, or I tried twerking and it hurt my low back, and so I'd like to demonstrate the technique that we use to develop the core strength needed to practice twerking and receive its many health benefits, such as ease in childbirth, menstrual cramp easement, and increased sexual pleasure and function, and just general well-being. It can actually be really releasing for the low back muscles and kind of an internal massage, and yes, and also makes you feel good and happy. So we should be doing it, but there are things we should know. So I would like to explain that when you're first starting to learn how to twerk, there is some new ways that you're engaging your core, and those muscles need to be strengthened. So step one, and I will demonstrate as I talk, is just focusing on these low belly muscles right below, like a couple inches below the belly button, and you want to just focus on squeezing and pulling those in as much as possible, and then releasing and letting that settle back into your natural state with your hips, and then squeezing and pulling in. You can even imagine it coming up through the inner thighs and just really getting as deep in to that squeezing as you possibly can and releasing. And then you make it a bit of a sharper muscle contraction. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Then you can get into squeezing it in a very contracting, fast motion, and the faster and harder you squeeze, the more jiggle and reverb you're going to do. Again, my glutes are completely relaxed when I'm doing this. And then you also want the drop to be a sharp contraction. So you squeeze a sharp contraction, drop a sharp contraction. Squeeze, drop, squeeze, drop, squeeze, drop, squeeze, drop. And then when you're speeding it up, as we do, you can't really think about everything all at once. So maybe you just think in. Or you can also think about release, 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 release. Just depends on what you want the accent to be. I tend to prefer thinking about the release, because then I get the shape that I want when I want it with the beat. And so that is the basic. I would say for maybe 1 to 2 months, just focusing on the front of your body and getting that core strength built to squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, building it up till you're going full time with your twerking. And then once you have that core strength developed, we can start to feel more comfortable with getting in to the back of the booty, which is another muscle contraction. And what we want to avoid in twerking is this, it's hard for me to do it wrong now, I've been doing it for so long, but the crunching of the spine. So it's not actually coming from our skeleton. We're not jamming those vertebrae together to get this big arch back. And people see the effect that someone who's been cultivating their twerk for a long time has a lot of power in the booty and the back. And so you just think, oh, I'll just stick my butt out. But that's actually spilling out your energy and your chi, and then not actually being stable or safe for your low back. So by practicing the correct way, you'll have a more powerful twerk, you'll receive the health benefits, and you'll be able to be twerking well into your late days of life. Okay, so for the back portion, I'll come face this way. So you can do this in any seated position you prefer. This is kind of one of the great ways to get into it. And we're going to focus on these muscles right above the booty and squeezing, squeeze, 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 squeezing those and then releasing. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release, squeeze, and release, squeeze, and release. So this is a great way to just focus on the muscular aspect of it and seeing that increase in strength and amplitude. And then you can take it into your full twerk range. So at this point, you could probably come onto your squat position and you can squeeze those low abs in and release, and then squeeze those booties back and release, and squeeze it in, release, back, release, in, release, back, release. Then we're going to take out the middle part. So we're just squeeze, back, squeeze, back, squeeze, back, squeeze, back, 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 back. Again, when I say back, 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 I'm still using that muscle contraction to the front and very controlled with my glute muscles of how I'm getting that back position, so I'm not just jamming into my low back in some unsafe way. So and in this position, of course, there's a little bit more booty in the back. Just kind of lends itself to the look we are going for aesthetically. And yes, so that is my safety twerk tutorial for you, and I hope that you benefited from this video and that you can enjoy and practice safe twerking and just really value the journey and not just focus on getting to the destination. All right, thank you. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.